Good evening, New Mexico. We are continuing our Decision 2024 coverage right here on our streaming services.
So the polls across our very own state closed about 5 minutes ago. We're still waiting for the first batch of results to come through, though.
Let's go to Ryan Laughlin, who is at the Bernalillo County Voting Machine Warehouse. So again, Ryan, it's only been, 5 minutes until the polls officially closed, but all the ballots eventually are going to end up where you are tonight.
Yeah, at least in Bernalillo County, they will end up here. There's kind of an anticipation in the air right now. They said they expect the ballots to really start showing up here in the next 30 minutes. But the polls are closed, but they're still open for the people that are in line. There's a room that the county clerk here, Linda Stover, calls the war room, or she describes it like NASA, because they're plugged in to all 72 voting centers across Bernalillo County. Though looks like very minimal problems this year, but I did want to hit on Rio Grande High School. It looks like they have a 57-minute wait time right now. That is by far and away the longest wait time that we have seen today. Of course, Linda Stover, the county clerk here, says we're not closing the polls until everybody who's in line at that 7 o'clock mark gets a chance to submit their ballot. So technically, we're going to be still waiting for people to be submitting their vote potentially for the next hour here, and then they got to get here, and we then start seeing the batches come in. I want to show you what's going on behind me, though. This is the absentee area. All of these people are the absentee board. Every table you see there's a Republican and a Democrat or a Libertarian judge, and those are the people that are looking at absentee votes. They're looking for the signatures. They're looking for the last four of Social Security numbers. And if people dropped those absentee ballots off in a drop box today, for example, they're coming to these people tonight. We got some numbers from the county clerk here a little bit earlier. She said that there was some 51,000 absentee ballots. They've already counted 41,000. That's not just today. These people have been working the last 10 days, but they anticipate it to be a long night. Some people say, hey, you're going to be here until midnight? I said, we'll be here as long as it takes. But so far, the ballots that we're waiting for tonight haven't come in yet. We expect that to happen within the next 20 minutes or so, guys.
So, Ryan, just as you mentioned a moment ago, some minor issues, including at one polling location, a school there. Is there any indication why it shot up to almost an hour-long wait for people? Do you know the reason behind that at all? Or
we don't. Yeah, Trevor, we don't know exactly why Rio Grande. I can see the number of ballot machines that they have available to print ballots. Those are working well. They have 4 of them. That might indicate that it's maybe experiencing an influx of people that they typically don't have, or that there's people that were waiting to the last minute. I'll ask to see if I can get an answer on Rio Grande High School. The other issues that they've seen, they say are pretty minor. The most popular one, or most common one, I should say, is people campaigning or trying to pump up their candidate within 100 feet of those polling locations. That's not allowed. They said they get that call pretty frequently. We had one example of somebody claiming to be a power of attorney for her mother. That's not allowed to cast a ballot. Those types are the issues that we've seen at polls. But largely, it's been smooth sailing here in Bernalillo County. Of course, polls are closing or just closed, and so we'll see what happens next. But we're waiting to see those ballots and those first returns coming in, and then we're going to watch the process of those batches, because they explain they really take, like early voting, for example. They've had them counted, but they will upload them as batches, and that's when we really get to see who's winning these races.
All good explanations there, Ryan. Thanks so much. We'll check back with you later on in the evening. Of course, everybody at home, you can stay with us on our streaming services. We're going to be bringing you statewide and local race results all evening, and you can watch by going to KOB.com or by downloading our app on your phone or smart TV. This way, we don't have to interrupt national coverage on KOB4, and we'll be able to further break down those local races. We'll see you soon.
Good evening, New Mexico. It is about 7:30. I'm Griffin Rushton, joining you here from the KOB4 studio, where we are getting our first look at some of the election results here in New Mexico. Polls closed about 30 minutes ago, and we're starting to see a few precincts already starting to get their numbers out there. This is a look at the presidential race so far, and we can see Kamala Harris is pulling ahead in New Mexico right now, about a 4,000 vote lead. I mean, of course, there's still a lot to go. We've only got about 11% of precincts reporting, but we can see there's already a split happening here in the state. I want to take you a look at the intensity map of votes right now, where we can see Donald Trump is polling quite ahead down in Chavez County. That's where Roswell is, while Kamala Harris is has a huge lead here in Santa Fe County, almost a 9,000 vote lead here. Again, only 14% reporting though, so there are still a lot more votes to factor in here. But why this is important right now, this is about the same kind of trends we saw during the 2020 election with President Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So we're going to see if this keeps up as the night moves on. Let's move over to some of our other races right now. Let's see. The U.S. Senate race. We got Martin Heinrich. He is pulling ahead right now of Nella Domenici. Again, we still have a lot more votes to come in right now, only 11% reporting, but we're seeing about the same split right now between Chavez County and Santa Fe, Rio Arriba counties up here. Now, one thing we do want to note, we are not seeing any votes from Bernalillo County yet. That is the most populated county here in New Mexico, and that's where a lot of the votes are going to come in tonight. Let's take a look at our congressional races right now. First congressional district, Melanie Stansbury and Steve Jones. Right now, Steve Jones is pulling ahead, and that seems to be because we're still waiting on those Bernalillo County votes, where Stansbury is likely going to get a lot of her supporters. Now to the second congressional district, we're still waiting on a lot of the votes here, just a little bit coming in, not really too much to make of this race just yet. As for the third congressional district, it's about the same, but we are seeing a lot more votes here, 12% reporting. Teresa Ledger Fernandez is polling strong up in northern New Mexico, as she has in previous elections, while her competitor Sharon Klasha-Shillage is pulling ahead down here in Chavez County, or at least the part of Chavez County that Congressional District 3 is part of. Again, we are just now getting the first batch of results here. We're going to be staying here all night to find out how these races come together. And of course, we want to see when those big counties come in, Bernalillo, Doña Ana, that's when we're really going to know what these races look like. Stick with us.
Thousands of you came out to vote today alone. The polls have been closed now for almost 50 minutes. The votes are being counted in all 33 New Mexico counties. Now, we've just learned that 9 polling locations in Apache County on the Navajo Nation will remain open until 9 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, they've had some issues there, but for now we want to get to Ryan Laughlin, who is at the Bernalillo County Machine Warehouse. So, Ryan, have you seen any issues in the metro so far?
Well, there's a room inside that the county clerk, Linda Stover, calls the war room, and she describes it like NASA because they're real-time connected to all 72 poll locations across Bernalillo County, and it's largely been smooth sailing today. Now, Trevor, you said we're about an hour after the polls closed, but really there was some big wait times right there at the end. They say that can happen. Rio Grande High School was up to 58 minutes at one point. The Central Mercado location was about 35 minutes, and so looking at the clock, we were really just a few minutes past when we think all of those people have voted. And this is the parking lot we expect to fill up soon. You can see still waiting for people to show up with those first rounds of ballots, ballot boxes, and of course those Dominion voting cards that we have covered so closely that will be plugged into the computer, uploaded in batches, and that is when we will finally see what happens in Bernalillo County. We're waiting, we're anticipating it, and we're excited to see those cars start rolling in, guys.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much. Let's get to Griffin Rushton now, who is watching the bigger races here more on a local level in New Mexico.
Griffin, what have you seen so far? Anything of note?
Well, we are starting to see the first results of the presidential race here in New Mexico, and we can tell you right now, Donald Trump is pulling ahead, slightly ahead of VP Kamala Harris. He's got about a 3,000 vote lead, but I want to point out to you, we've only got 19% of precincts reporting, so there are still a lot of votes to come in, but we can already see that some trends that we were expecting to happen are already starting to take shape, and that is most notably a huge surge of votes for Kamala Harris in Santa Fe County, while we're seeing a similar surge for Donald Trump down in Chavez County. Now, one thing I did want to point out and show you, so in our two statewide races right here, Colfax County is showing something a little interesting. They're right now polling ahead for Donald Trump in the presidential race, but if we jump over to the Senate race, they're actually pulling ahead right now for Martin Heinrich, which may show some allegiance for him. Again, we're only at 48% reporting here, and there's still a lot more votes to come in, so stick with us as we tally these all up.
Griffin, thank you so much for the update. In the meantime, I want to remind you that you can stay with us on our streaming services. We'll be bringing you statewide and local race results all evening. You can watch it by going to KOB.com or by downloading our app onto your phone or smart TV. We'll see you throughout this evening.
Good evening, New Mexico. It's just about 8:05, and we are still following the early poll results as they come into our newsroom. Here's a look at the presidential race in New Mexico right now. Donald Trump is polling about 6 points ahead of Kamala Harris right now, but we're only at 21% reporting, so it's definitely too early to make any assumptions about who's going to take this race. Now, I do want to point out, looking at the votes we have so far, we are seeing an almost identical look to what we saw back in 2020 when President Joe Biden swept the state with a 99,000 vote lead. Now, of course, one of the big counties we're still waiting on right now is Bernalillo County. This is really going to show us how the state is leaning. This is where the most voters are, and until we get those numbers in, it's kind of just seeing what the other counties are looking at right now. Now, let's take a look at the U.S. Senate race where Nella Domenici is now polling ahead of Martin Heinrich after we got a surge of votes in from Lee County down here. Let's take a look over at another county we're getting in right now, Sandoval County. For the presidential race, it's just about neck and neck between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump right now, and it looks to be roughly the same between Martin Heinrich and Nella Domenici. Now, while we're talking about Sandoval County, let's take a look over at one of our legislative races that we are keeping a close eye on tonight, and that is Senate District 12. Sandoval County Commissioner Jay Block, a Republican, is working to flip this district after it was redrawn. It used to be down here in Albuquerque, downtown Albuquerque. It was a solid blue district. Now it's over in Sandoval and Bernalillo counties, and it seems Sandoval County Commissioner here is getting a lead from his constituents. However, again, we are still waiting on the Bernalillo County numbers, and that could make or break this race. Another quick race we want to mention over here in Sandoval County is House District 23. This is sitting state representative Alan Martinez. It seems to be, based on the numbers we got 74% reporting. He's got a 57% lead. It looks pretty solid that he is going to keep his seat in the roundhouse, but it's still a little too early to make that call right now. Again, it's only about 8:05. Polls have been closed for just about an hour now, and we're still waiting on some of those big counties to get in before we really start to see how these races take shape.
Good evening once again, New Mexico. You know, one of the races that a lot of people thought could be among the closest is our congressional race for District 2. That seat is, of course, currently held by Democrat Gabe Vasquez, who's running against former Representative Yvette Harrell. That district encompasses some parts of the Albuquerque metro, but really large parts of southern New Mexico. That's why our Tamara Lopez made the trip down to Las Cruces for us today to follow the race. So, Tamara, anything interesting that you can tell us about so far?
Trevor, so far things have been calm, party-like atmosphere here at Democratic incumbent Gabe Vasquez's watch party. We do know, like you mentioned, this is going to be a very close race tonight. It's actually a matchup of the race 2 years ago when Vasquez pulled ahead to win that seat by a very narrow margin. So both parties tonight are really looking for a win. We spoke to some voters earlier and they gave their reasonings for voting for Harrell or for Vasquez tonight. A lot of the same issues came up for the voters we spoke to. Gas prices and inflation being two of those main issues for voters. And again, like I mentioned, this is going to be a close race tonight. Harrell actually won the seat from a Democrat back in 2020. Vasquez won it from her, so that matchup is going to be very closely watched tonight. But we will continue to watch this race and monitor those results from in Las Cruces. Trevor, back to you.
All right, Tamara. Indeed. Thank you so much. In the meantime, we want to bring back our Ryan Laughlin. So, Ryan, you're going to show us what is officially known as the big board. What are you seeing right now when it comes to the votes here in the all-important Bernalillo County?
Yeah, Bernalillo County, the county clerk says accounts for a third of the voting share of New Mexico, and so everybody's watching for when these votes start to come in. And I want to show you this board. County Clerk Linda Stover was really proud of this board. It has a live feed of every voting center in Bernalillo County, all 72 of them. Now I'm going to talk you through just about what we're seeing here. You can see the status on one column says closed. That's next to the location, VCC, a number, and then, for example, Sandia High School, Rio Grande High School. On the other side, there's some cross streets of where these places are. But then the column that we're watching now is on the far right of these columns. If we can get a shot of what's on the far right, you can see it says released. And that means that the polls are officially released from that location and they are on their way here. There's another column, like, for example, at the very bottom here at Zuni Elementary School, it says started. That means they've started the process of reconciling and then starting to really collect these votes at the locations before they hand them off to the chain of command. And then just right there, you can see Valley High School. It literally just went over to release. For example, at Valley High School, you can see there was 778 votes at that location. They reported one issue, and now the votes are officially on their way from Valley High School to this location, the Bernalillo County Voting Machine Warehouse. Still, there's a little bit of activity buzzing here, but the ballots haven't arrived yet, and so those precincts that Griffin's watching on the big board haven't really started reporting here yet, but we anticipate that to happen soon. We're watching this board. Out of the 72 voting locations, 19 of them have been released. Oh, and here we go. Actually, James, if you want to pan over here, these guys are the Gladiators, the football team that is officially bringing some of the ballots in right now. This is literally the first batch of ballots that we have seen, and we are going to be watching as they come in here. So we'll send it back to Tessa and Trevor right now, but we are really watching this process play out as it's happening right now.
All right, thank you so much. Really good timing right there on that live shot. In the meantime, you can keep it right here on our streaming services for more Decision 2024 coverage. Just so you know, though, we'll also be cutting into NBC's national coverage coming up around 8:40, so about 20 minutes from now. We certainly hope you'll join us then. Have a great night.
Good evening, New Mexico. Time is just about 8:38 right now, and we've got some big updates on the election front. A huge surge of votes just came in from Bernalillo County, and they are making a big impact on a lot of the big races. Most notably, the presidential race here. Kamala Harris is now up 10 points above Donald Trump, and again, that is largely because of this surge of votes we just got in from Bernalillo County, the most populated county in New Mexico. You can see she has got a lot of support here, just as much as Joe Biden did back in 2020. And so let's take a look at some of our other national races right now. The 1st Congressional District, we've been waiting to talk about this one until those Bernalillo County votes got in, and we can see Melanie Stansbury now has a very solid lead over Republican Steve Jones. Let's take a look at the 2nd Congressional District. Yeah, and that surge of Bernalillo County votes is definitely helping Gabe Vasquez here. We saw that back in 2022, and we're seeing it again here in 2024. Of course, we still got a lot of votes left to go in this district, still 44% of votes left to go, and so that's really going to tell us to see who takes CD2, Gabe Vasquez or Yvette Harrell. We're going to be here all night waiting for those votes to come in.
And good evening, New Mexico. We are continuing our Decision 2024 coverage.
Tonight, both Republicans and Democrats are together watching the results as they come in. Felicia Meadows starts our coverage for us right now. She's with the Republican camp at Hotel Albuquerque. So, Felice, how are things there?
Yeah, Tessa, Trevor, things are in full swing here at Hotel Albuquerque. You can see the music is going. We have people cheering as other states are being called in favor of former President Donald Trump. As far as Nella Domenici, she has not taken the stage here. Her camp tells me they're going to wait until they get some of those results in before she addresses voters. But I did speak to one voter who says she voted for her because of her strong stance on the border. Of course, we'll let you all know on air and online when Nella takes the stage. For now, reporting live in Albuquerque, Felice Romero, KOB4.
Side of things, though, Brittany Costello is live for us at Isleta Casino tonight. Brittany, how are things going there tonight for Democrats?
Well, you hear the cheers. Democrats are feeling good right now. They're taking the stage, Democratic leadership. They're taking the stage. They're really trying to energize the crowd here. I'll step out of the way so you can see all the people gathered here watching this presentation. And now we've seen Democratic leaders from all around this state, and it appears Democratic Mayor Tim Keller is about to take the stage. Of course, we're keeping an eye on those congressional races. We actually expect to hear from Senator Martin Heinrich, perhaps within the next 30 minutes or so. It's a very loose schedule over here, but we're keeping an eye on things and how things are going. And they, again, are just trying to energize everyone as they await the results. Feeling good about tonight. We've seen Senator Martin Heinrich making the rounds, Teresa Leger Fernandez. So people are getting excited to see those results come in. For now, reporting live at Isleta, Brittany Costello, KOB4.
Brittany, thanks so much. And we are seeing more of those results coming in right now. You can get all the updated results all night long by watching our streaming channel on the devices you see listed right here. It's so simple to do. You just go to KOB.com or you can download our free KOB4 app.
And just so you know, our team will also be cutting in there with analysis on key New Mexico races whenever it's necessary.